Good evening, everyone present here. Let me start this event with a quote by Henry Ford. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Welcome to the most amazing webinar on coding, Coding the Future, organized by National Child Development Council. Coding is the process of giving instructions, machines, a set of instructions that describes how a program should be carried out. I, Rashida, is super excited to introduce our resource person for today's event. He is an educator from Pambor. He is none other than Mr. Adil Bhatt, founder of Decode Future. So let me invite Ms. Fasla PP to deliver the welcome speech.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. A very good evening to one and all present here. Today we gather here for the webinar organized by our National Child Development Council, webinar on coding, Coding Future. A warm welcome and thank you for this joining this webinar. First, I would like to welcome our chief guest, Mr. Adil Bhatt sir, an educator from Pampak, Kashmir, and he is a founder of Decode Future, an IT academy that trains young students about CS and provide IT-enabled services. And more importantly, he promotes CS and more specifically coding across the valley. I welcome sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Then I welcome our faculty, Mrs. Smita Krishnakumar, coordinator for this program. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Once again, I welcome all of our for this program. Welcome all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have our faculty, Ms. Smita Krishnakumar, for the presidential address.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rashida ma'am, for inviting me. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. Adil Bhatt. National Child Development Council, or NCDC, is a non-governmental organization which promotes women and children welfare. As part of empowering women, we give training on Montessori teachers training for our ladies of any age group. And we believe that our teachers should be updated. And as part of our curriculum, we have experts classes, conduct expert classes to keep them updated in the current situation. All of us know that today we all live in a digitalized world, especially our children. And coding is the future. That is what we hear. But as teachers, we need to be updated about what is coding, how it helps the children, how it develops confidence, storytelling, and also problem-solving skills in children. So to know more about coding, we have a very special guest, Mr. Adil Bhatt, who will give us an idea about what all things as teachers we should know about coding. Some say that coding is good, some say that it is not good. So we need to have a clear idea about what is coding and how it is beneficial for our children, so that we can become modern teachers who can develop today's children for tomorrow. So without delay, let me invite Mr. Adil Bhatt to give us more idea about coding. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Next, I invite our resource person, Mr. Adil Bhatt, to brief us about coding. Welcome, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Good evening and welcome to this session of coding. I'm very, very thankful to Smita ma'am and especially to National Child Development Council for having me. Like, I have been connected to this organization for like now 2 weeks, and the journey has been absolutely amazing. I was one of the chief guests for one of the sessions of Alexander sir, and it gives me so much happiness that I am now part of this session where I am giving a lecture to teachers who are not in who are not present here, but they are somewhere like at least 700-800 kilometers, if not more. This is what technology gives us. This is a wonderful opportunity. So I need to know how much time I have, ma'am.
1 hour, sir.
1 hour. Okay, I'll try to finish it before 1 hour. So can I share my screen, please?
Yeah. It is enabled.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks for the positive feedback. I am thankful to Smita ma'am and other team who invited me for this session. So today we are going to talk about coding and computer science. As already being introduced by ma'am, my name is Adil and I am from a very small town called Pampur, which is located some 12 kilometers from the main city, Srinagar, which is the summer capital of Jammu and Kashmir. Pampur is very famous for saffron, if you know about it. And I do promote computer science and coding in the Valley of Jammu and Kashmir. I organize regular workshops, particularly to the students of class 8 to class 12. I have been organizing it for many years now. And besides that, I run my own venture, which is called Decode Future. Decode Future is an IT academy that teaches young students about coding and computer science, and at the same time provides services like website designing, software development, digital marketing to businesses, or we can say that it provides IT enabled services to the businesses. And this is, I have been already featured by most of the national dailies of India, and this is one of the screenshots I have taken. This was a story done by ANI. ANI is the, I guess, leading news agency of Asia. So I'm pretty thankful to the media people who keep supporting me. And we will start now today's session. We'll be talking about only two things. The first one is automation, and the second thing is coding. I really like an interactive session where I can ask audience questions and they'll respond. But today I feel it's not very convenient to ask you questions. Had it been offline session, it would have been great. So let's talk about automation. You know what is automation? There are so many things around us which are automatic. Like, say, there is a refrigerator, it's automatic. There is a television, it's automatic. And there are certain things which are automatic. Earlier, what happened around us, so we used to have suppose, let's take an example of school. Earlier, we used to pay fee at school. It was all manual. We have a fee card, and every month we used to go to the school and pay fee for our child. And that gentleman, whosoever was on the other end, he used to take the money and write a receipt for us and write it on fee card, right? And similar things happen at a hospital. Like, we go to hospital, we used to go hospital and we used to get the admit card or something like that. It was all manual, but there was a requirement of change. We wanted it to be automatic. Now we have a absolutely clear fee taking or fee management software, right? We have a fee management software. What does it do? It does everything that we used to do manually, like taking fee, keeping records, letting everyone know how much fee is pending or how many months we have pending. But it's all now automatic, right? And this process of going from manual to automatic is called automation. right? You got it? I hope you got it.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, sir. Yes.
there is every sector where automation has taken place. What is basically automation? Automation is our brain knows how to do a thing. Like our brain knows how to do a thing, how to add 2 plus 2. Our brain knows it's 4. But how does a calculator knows it is 4? How does it knows? Calculator does automatically add. This process is called automation, and that calculator is an automatic device, right? Moving ahead. Now, if we go by the definition of automation, automation is the use of technology where we try to accomplish a task with little human interaction as possible, right? You see, there was a fee management software, and you look at the earlier manual fee taking process where we require people around, and now we have automatic fee management software. It shows you how much fee is pending, how much fee we have collected in this month, everything. So we try to minimize human interaction as much as we can. And why do we do automation? We do automation to save a few things, to save our time, to save our effort, and to be more accurate. You see, if I am giving a student 2 numbers to add for the whole day, right? Even if the task is simpler, but at some point he will do mistakes, right? Everyone, human do make errors, right? But if we talk about fee management software, it will give you accurate results, right? So we have replaced a manual system by an automatic system, and the process of transition from manual to automatic is called automation. So we try to save our time, and we try to save our effort, and more importantly, we try to save some money as well. If you look at again fee management software, we require people for that, right? And then now we have a single software, once created, can be replicated everywhere. I'll give you another example of automation. Earlier we have seen in movies, on the roads, we used to have traffic police on roads, right? Who used to give direction. Like somebody had for 10 seconds he would lift his left hand to stop the traffic on the left side and allow on the right side, and then he'll repeat the process for the right side or similarly. But it was a very I could say it was a very tough job for rainy day, or maybe a person standing for the whole day. It was very cumbersome process, and it involves lots of cost. Suppose person, at least you require 2 person for one single junction on the road to manage the traffic, but it has been replaced by a small device, small computer called traffic signal, right? It costs us very less. It doesn't show errors. Suppose a gentleman sitting over there, maybe thinking about family, thinking about his wife, he would get carried away and maybe do things not in accordance to the process. But you will see a traffic signal there. It will be absolutely perfect, not a single ahead or not a single second behind, right? This is what is automation, right? As we have replaced the gentleman on the road by a small device called as traffic signal. What we did there, we managed our costs, we managed our efforts, and more importantly, we were more accurate. So any task that's performed more than once, like if we know we need to repeat things, repeat and repeat, so why don't we automate things, right? If we know we need to add numbers regularly and constantly, why don't we develop a device called calculator? It will do automatically the same thing. Our brain, again, I'll repeat, our brain, maybe it has learned how to solve a particular problem, but why would we always involve our brain for the same? We can delegate the process and we can automate that very thing, and the process is called automation. I hope you know what is automation, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the feedback. And how do we do automation? Suppose That how traffic signal knows I have to it has to show green arrow for 10 seconds and then red arrow for 10 seconds and then again green arrow for 10 seconds. Somebody has taught it, right?
Yes.
If
Yes.
we allow a child to be there or a gentleman over there, we have to taught him how to do things. But now if traffic signal is doing the same work, so we need to teach it how to do things properly, right? Teach things to traffic signal or that fee management software or some other software, we require computer coding or computer programming. You got it, ma'am? Yes. Is it clear?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
to sum it up, to create automation and or to make automatic softwares or automatic devices, we need to teach it how to do things, and we can teach computer or any other physical device how to do things with the help of special language, which is called computer coding or computer programming, right? And now look at everywhere. Look at everywhere. Everything around us is automatic. Whether you go to hospital, there's an automatic software there. You go to school, there's an automatic fee management software. You go to library, there is an automatic software to manage it. Everywhere you will see things which are automatic. From our digital watch to aeroplane, everything has been programmed. And how do we program things? By special language called as coding or programming languages, right? Now, I will require your attention to this picture. What is this? This look like the servers of Google.
Early computers.
This is the first computer, and it was developed in 1943, right? This was the first big machine which was developed in 1943. It did work what our small SD card can do today. It was the first one, and it was one of the revolutionary things done in the world. But why I am showing you this picture? Because this is the lady, right? Her name is Ada Lovelace. Adallovelace, Ada Lovelace. And she was the first programmer in 1843, exactly 100 years before inventing the first computer, right? There are two myths around us, very common. The first thing is computer science and coding is for only males and not for females, because they involve logic, right? And there is a myth that girls cannot learn coding and girls can't do coding, right? But the first programmer was a lady, right? I have my many students who learn coding, and many of them are girls, and I can see girls are very sharp to computer science and coding. So I am busting the first myth that computer science is not for girls, it's for everyone, and it's equally for both males as well as females. Everybody can learn coding, right? And the second myth I would like to bust with this picture is that everyone who I interact with, when I ask them to learn coding, they say that if we are already having good amount of screen time, right? 5-6 hours a day. So if we start learning coding, we'll add up more screen time to it. Not good for our eyes, not good for our health, right? This is the myth, another myth. But look at the picture. The first program was written exactly 100 years before the computer was even invented, right? So you don't need computer to learn logic, to learn coding. You can write your code on piece of paper, right? This is all about logic. The way we have mathematics, we can have computer programming and computer coding. So we don't need computer initially. If you can develop your logic on piece of paper, and once it is done, we can replicate it into the computer. And the second thing, it's good to have good screen time, right? If you are spending 5 hours on social media, Snapchat, Instagram, etc., you can spend 30 minutes on for learning computer science and coding, because computer science and coding is future. Why is it is future? Let's talk more about it. So since I am interacting with teachers, and if we have a class 8 student who wishes to become a doctor, do we teach him geography in class 8?
Yes.
Do we teach him geography in the class 8? I guess yes.
Yes.
We do teach him geography. Even though we know that he is going to become a doctor, he doesn't need to know what geography is, right? So if I have another student in class 10th, maybe, who wishes to become, say, engineer, right? Do I need to teach him photosynthesis? Does he require photosynthesis in engineering?
No.
Yes. Yes. No, actually,
No.
he does not need it.
He does not need him. But do we teach him photosynthesis at class 8 or 9 or 10?
Yes. Yes. We do.
Yes.
Why do we teach him things he or she doesn't need?
Because
Get a basic idea.
those are all the basic information which we should know.
Exactly, that's the point. So let us say there are two schools. One of the schools says, since your child wants to become an engineer, so since he wants to become an engineer, we won't teach him digestive system. Does any parent, will any parent allow his child to be in that school?
No.
No, because there are certain things fundamental, right? And in this century, computer science is fundamental, right? And everybody should have a chance to learn about how things work, how internet work, how suppose we are surrounded by apps. Everywhere we see apps, applications, softwares, everything you see IT driven. So at least our child deserves a chance to learn how things work. Suppose if you take a class 10th kid, he or she uses browser 10 times a day, right?
Yes.
Mobile browser, like say Google Chrome, right?
Yes.
Does he deserve a chance to learn about Google Chrome? How does it work?
Yes.
Exactly. Computer science in 21st century, and more importantly, coding has become fundamental. And that's why even if somebody wants to become a doctor or maybe engineer or even something else, we teach him or her basic things. Even if you want to become a doctor, you will have to get through the maths, even though it's boring, right?
Yes.
You have to go through the process. So my point here is computer science has lately become fundamental. It's very imminent for us to teach our children computer science and coding. Suppose if I take my example, I have learned digestive system or photosynthesis or everything. But if I take today myself or any young student, my screen time is more than the time I use my digestive system, right? If I use digestive system for 3 hours, I have my screen time around 6 hours. So do I need to learn more about my mobile phone or digestive system? Practically, I need to know more about the technology and the computer science. I am using WhatsApp for 1 hour a day. So I need to learn how WhatsApp works, how things work. If a child knows how photosynthesis works, how digestion works, how our geography is, what is this and that, how our political system works, will consider him smart. In the similar manner, currently, if a person or a young student knows about the things he is using, particularly IT driven, then he is considered to be smart. So just like they learn about photosynthesis, digestive system, or electricity, you can add one more thing. Computer science and information technology is also fundamental. That's why Government of India is serious about it. Like they teach math from early classes, science, or you can say English or any language, and then social science or any other subjects. They have introduced coding as well. Coding, according to the new national education policy, is compulsory from class 6th. Right? Just because coding has become fundamental. Everybody, every student who will consider tomorrow himself or herself educated need to know basic or fundamental things. And one of the fundamental things is computer science and coding. Moving ahead, let us understand why coding has become lately important. Now I'll come to this slide later. Now, let us come to the first important point, why code. I hope everybody understood what is coding.
Yes, sir.
Coding is simply teaching a computer or a device how things work. If we know anything, if we are able to make it understand a computer how things work, it's called coding or programming. Now, if we look at coding, its future. Why it is future? Because there are increasing number of businesses relying on this. Irrespective of any field, every sector, computer science and coding is required. Now, let me take your mind to somewhere. Do you watch TV? I guess everyone does.
Yes.
What are the what are
Yes,
the
sir.
what are the ads you see lately now? What are the ads? Can you name few advertisements that are currently in your mind, that are currently running?
Byju's,
Byju's,
um,
An Academy.
yes,
Entry app.
and one more thing from B, starts from B.
There is some
Vedantu.
noise.
Vedantu.
Vedant, yes.
Vedantu, or you see NetMeds, that one selling medicines. NetMeds.
Netmeds, yes.
You see that Grow app, GROWW, that's
Yes.
Virat Kohli ad. You
Yes,
see
yes, yes.
Greater Learning, you see
Netflix.
Dream 11. What are these? These are IT startups. These are nothing but a single application, mobile application. Amazon, Snapdeal, Flipkart. These are they don't have big offices. They have a single application to represent, right? We
Yes,
used to
sir.
teach our kids, but our education has shifted from simple education to edtech. We don't have now education. We have now edtechs, EDTECH, edtech, education technology driven, and we have fintech, finance technology driven, right? And similarly, we have health tech, where like NetMeds come into play. So if you see ads currently on TV, 80% of the ads are from those companies which are IT driven. What do they have at the back end? They have a mobile application and a website which runs like Dream 11, right? Or My Tree, My Circle, etc. They have a simple application. Who do you think will be making this application? This is to be made by our young students, our people who know how to read and write code, right? So if we look at 3 years ahead, we will have more IT driven startups. So that's why there are increasing number of businesses and there are increasing number of jobs available in IT and computer science. And to go into that field, our children should know how to read and write code, right? That was the first thing that I need to highlight. Coding is future. And look at this picture. Everything around us uses technology. Whether you want to work in medicines, whether you want to work in engineering, you want to work in finance, or you want to work in agriculture. Everywhere you require computer engineers. You require people who can understand how computer works. And you need people who knows who know rather how to read and write code, because everything is being affected by computer science and technology. Earlier, we had the notion that only tech industry requires computer programmers, and that to be only in Silicon Valley, California. But it has changed. Not only tech industry, every industry desperately is trying to hire as many as computer programmers, not in California, not in USA, not in America, but everywhere. You see already in India, there are so many IT-driven startups, An Academy, Byju's, Whitehead Junior, Dream11. There are so many startups which are IT-driven and they require computer programmers for it. Who will do it? It will be our young students who will understand first computer programming and then will get the required job in the same field. Another, now I should ask one question to maybe teachers. Why do we teach kids mathematics?
To develop their critical thinking.
Exactly, to develop their critical thinking. Exactly, mathematics and coding overlap. In fact, computer has been derived, the word computer has been derived from the word compute, which is again mathematics. Computer science and mathematics overlap. We have to teach our kids computer programming to help them to increase their critical analysis, because once you are given a problem like say traffic signal, our kid needs to think how I can develop a program for traffic signal. He has to understand what is time, for how many seconds I have to show green arrow, for how many seconds I have to show red screen, etc. So in order to solve a problem in computer science, first you need to identify a problem and then you need to give up appropriate solution. So once the first thing that I need to explain here, the first thing, once if your kid knows about browser, or he will understand only how browser works if he knows coding. So once he understands about browser, or more importantly about coding, he begins to appreciate the things, or he begin to develop an appreciation to the things, how things work. And second thing that I need to highlight here, once our children learn how to code, it gives them a chance of a skill that will make them stand out, right? Earlier, we used to have a notion 10-20 years back that if a person can speak English, he will be considered smart, right? Now the things have shifted. In my place, if 10 years ago, if somebody can speak fluent English, he'll be considered smart. But things have changed. If a young student learns how to read and write code, how to develop websites, how to develop software, he'll be considered smart. So if once they are young and they know how and they get the skill of coding, it can help them in long way. And another, that's the overlapping point with mathematics. Computer science is not about only screen developing softwares. This is only the end product. Basically, it's about logic, problem solving, and creativity. Every IT startup you see around is being developed because of creativity. People behind it first identify a problem and then give alternate solution to it, and then ultimately find the optimum solution. So computer science is not about screen again, it's about logic, problem solving, and creativity. And the way mathematics teach us resilience, computer science helps in inculcating resilience. Suppose if some of our teachers have done computer programming, they'll be able to understand it. Whenever we try to solve a problem in computer science or coding, or more importantly programming or coding, we never solve it at first instance, right? Suppose if I have to write a program for anything, I'll get 10 errors initially. And if I rewrite the code again, check errors, I'll still get 5. And repeating the task, I still get one error. And finally, I again check the program, check the errors, try again different way, and ultimately I get 0 errors and program runs absolutely fine. So it gives children the ability to try and try again and until they succeed. This is how they develop resilience, and this is how they understand that failure is not a bad thing. It is necessarily not a bad thing. It serves us an learning opportunity. So computer programming or coding inculcates resilience in young students. And this is a slide. It gives, at the end of the day, we come down to money and look at this figure. If we look at the first thing, it's 0.58 million lifetime earning of a high school graduate. Any high school graduate earns 0.58 million. And if there is a college graduate, he earns in his lifetime 1.19 million. And if there is a lifetime college graduate, his lifetime earning having computer science as one of the subjects is 1.67. Clearly, people earn more with computer science and coding. You can see, if you ask people around, they earn good, they have a handsome salary if they are good programs. There are people who earn a very handsome, I don't need to share how much people earn in computer science, but you can Google it around. One of the highest paying jobs around in this world is computer programming, right? So you have logic, you have resilience, you have everything. And more importantly, there are increasing number of jobs for computer programs. This is another graphic that shows how much every year, how much people are required in IT industry, because there are hundreds of thousands of startups adding to it, and we need people for it. We need people who can write good code, who can manage those softwares, etc. So that is why there is increasing demand of experienced computer programmers. And since there is gap of demand and supply, they get absolutely high salary. So in computer science, you have a skill, and once you have a skill, you can earn good amount of salary. And one more thing I need to highlight over here, that computer science or coding does not require it. Am I audible? My internal connection is unstable. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
One thing I need to highlight is that you don't need a degree for computer coding. If you apply for a job anywhere in India or outside, they'll demand your skills, whether you have appropriate skills or not, but your degree is the least thing they'll ask for. Always the stress is on skills. Say if somebody out there will say that I'm going to treat you, but I am not a doctor, he will not be accepted in the society, right? But computer programmer cannot have a degree, but he can be a good programmer just because he has appropriate skills. There are so many people around me who are intermediate only, but they have learned computer programming earlier, and they earn a good handsome salary, more than the PGs and other degree holders, right? So computer science, there are skills required, and we don't have enough skills. We have, yeah. Can you please mute? Thank you. So we don't have enough skills. We have enough people with enough degrees that, and they don't have a job, but there are not people with good enough skills. So if I know many people, but I can tell you one thing, I can assure you one thing. I have seen people who are having degrees, but not jobs. But I have not seen a single person having a skill and not a job. Every person who has a skill has a job, is earning. So it's very important to make our kids understand that they should learn appropriate skills. And coding is one of the skills, best skills you can teach your kids. Moving ahead, And there's a concept of STEM. I don't need to explain to teachers. I know they'll be aware of this STEM. There we have a education policy which is called as STEM, where we ask people to learn science, technology, engineering, and maths. And if we talk about US, this is one of the stats from US. 67% of all new jobs in STEM are in computing. 67% all STEM jobs are in computing, and 11% of STEM bachelor's degree are in computer science. There are increasing number of people who are going for computer science after 12, but I always advocate and encourage young students from class 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11, 12 to learn computer science and coding. I'm going a little bit faster, and since this is about logic and calculations and like this, coding is considered to be fun. It's once a kid develops something, maybe an app or maybe something, he is able to change the color of the circle on the computer screen, he gets happy. And in the same way, coding is very much fun. Those who know how to read and write code, they find it absolutely exciting and full of fun. So there was this is the states I'd like to show you. Everybody would agree that maths is being hated by everyone, right? Maths is considered to be very boring, but to me it is very exciting. There was a census done in there was a students in US were asked, what do they like? You know what? Most of the students said, we like art and design. Art and design, like they know they like paintings, they like making art, etc. And the second thing was, which was liked by the most of the students, was performing arts like dancing, singing, etc. And computer science, engineering, and coding is the third thing students liked, right? So at least 54% of the students said that they find fun and exciting computer science, engineering, and coding. So again, this stats adds to my point, this one, coding is fun. Even when arts and computer science is what students enjoy most. So this was about why coding, and now I'll come to this slide. Okay, so now we understand what is coding, what is automation, and what are the benefits of coding. Now, this is the slide I would like to show you. Now, how would we start? So we have to first ask our children to develop logic. Now, they need to find their field. There are hundreds of programming languages like Java, Python, C++, there is JavaScript, there is C#, there is PHP. There are so many languages around us, but which language we need to learn? First of all, we need to learn one of the basic languages. Like if you go for bachelor's in computer science, they'll teach you C or C++. But to our kids, we can ask them their interests. Like suppose Java, if you want to develop Android apps, video games, applications, you can use Java. In the similar manner, Python is used for web applications, game development, data science, etc. C++ has its own domain. These are languages, computer programming language. Swift has its own domain. JavaScript has its own domain. And there are so many languages. Every language has its own domain, whether you want to develop game, whether you want to develop a software, standalone software for your own computer, or you want to develop a website or a web application, Android application, iOS application. First of all, we need to identify what are we interested in. Maybe we are not interested in game development, then we can skip Java. We are interested in, suppose a kid is interested in web development, he can learn, say, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. For the front end, he can learn Python or maybe ASP or maybe VB.NET or C#. So once it's clear that what are we trying to do, where my interests lie, we can accordingly go for the language, right? And once you learn one language, then the logic, then the syntax is already different. So only syntax differs. So if you have a logic in, say, JavaScript, you can easily learn Python, right? If you know how JavaScript works, you can easily learn Python. You can easily switch from one language to another language. But the most important part is how to start. We need to encourage our kids that this is one of the skills that can pay them, right? That can fetch them, they can create their own niche. Now, this is one of the pictures that I would like to take your attention. In 2020, there were 194,000 people tweeting in 1 minute. This is what happens on the internet in 1 minute. And in 2021, 2 lakh people were tweeting, right? So there is increasing number of usage of data every minute, every year. You see, there were $1.1 million spent online on online shopping in 2020, and in 21, 1.6 million are being spent every 60 seconds or every 1 minute. Look at the huge amount of data we are generating every minute. And look at the text messages. 59 million is sent in 1 minute, and then 60 million, and increased number of 10 million messages are being sent every minute. We are all using them. I am on Facebook, I am on WhatsApp, I am on Instagram, I am on Snapchat, but our kids are doing the same, our teachers are doing the same. But what is required is that our students and teachers should learn how these things work, how Snapchat works, how WhatsApp works, how TikTok works, right? So now my question to everyone over here, do you believe that this data is going to get increased in 2022 and 23 or decreased?
Increase.
In 24, increased or decreased?
Increase.
Who will manage this data? Who will manage this data? This has to be managed by us and the students who we are teaching, right? So they deserve a chance to learn about these things. They are already using it. I am repeating it again. They are already using it, but they need to learn about these applications, how Instagram works, right? So if they do that tomorrow, since you are agreeing with me that this data will be increased, tomorrow they have to manage this data. They will get the job once they have the appropriate skills. So this is my I think I ran a little faster because of time congestion. I tried to finish it within the limits. So why do we learn coding? There will be people who will be saying that we are from humble families, we cannot teach our kids coding, or in schools we have our own curriculum, we cannot teach them. But there are resources available, there are free resources. The first one I'm sharing is Code.org, and there are others: EDX, Coursera, Code Project, Code Camp. If we look at Code.org is one of the most famous organizations that teach young students coding. And not only students, they teach teachers coding. They have trained lately 50,000 teachers all across the world coding, and they teach them just so that those teachers can teach young students coding. I will share their website. It's Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It is
Yes, yes.
code.org, right? What's on my screen, ma'am, please?
Fostering creativity.
Oh, the
Fostering creativity.
Fostering creativity.
the
Okay,
first
okay.
slide, the first slide.
I will try to. Hmm. What's now on the screen?
Learn computer science.
Congratulations.
Yeah, this is the website of code.org. They teach young students across the globe computer science and coding. They teach a programming language called Scratch. They have already 67 million students they have taught, and it's very surprising that 30 million of their students are young women, and they already 2 million, that's 20 lakh teachers are using code.org, right? So this is the best source that I can share with all the teachers where they can learn coding. And then and there are other resources as well, like EDX, Coursera, code projects, etc., etc. Okay, this was my final slide where I tried to share some resources. So if I recapitulate, I shared what is automation and how things work automatically, and they work because of computer science and coding. And then I shared the benefits of coding, advantages like you have good salary, coding is fun, it teaches you resilience, etc., etc. And finally the resources. I'm not very much satisfied with this presentation myself, because it would have been great had it been in presence presentation. But I will be sharing my social media handles. These are my code Adi. You can reach me anytime. If you have any question, you can ask me now, or you can reach on my social media handles so that I can share it better, right? So I'll stop sharing my screen, and we have still, it's 8:20, we have still 10 minutes. You can ask questions if you have any. I'll be happy to answer, and if I don't know the answer, I'll do some homework and I'll revert back. Thank you so much.
Any questions? So I will ask the first question. Okay, when we are starting coding for the kids, so is it better to start with Python or any? Which one should we choose?
Mostly what people do, or what our teachers did earlier, they used it to teach C or C++, right? Because it use it to cover basic logic and everything around, right? But some way I feel that whenever we teach kids this C, they get bored, easily bored. So I would recommend, if the students are a little bit bored with C, we can start with Python. Python is a good option. Python is much more easier than C. So to keep students' interests alive, we can go with Python. And we should also try to go with languages that are GUI. We have two types of language. One is CUI and GUI. Suppose C, it's CUI, command user interface it has. You will see only text written, only commands written. It makes students bored. But if you if you use something which has an interface like GUI, graphic user interface, students find it interesting. They see buttons moving around. Once you click somewhere, there's an action happening, there's an event happening. This makes them exciting, and with this we can use this excitement, and one of the options for that is Python. So Python, you can go with Python. I'm okay with it.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Sir, may I ask one question?
Sure,
Actually,
madam, please.
Sir, actually, this coding, how expensive is it? Because different institutions charge different fee, and it is very, very expensive for a normal family to afford it. So, is coding really expensive?
Coding is, I think, it's not expensive, because if you want to learn physics, there are not much resource available online, right? But
Yes.
if you want to learn computer science and coding, there are hell lot of resource available. Suppose there is a YouTube channel, Code with Harry, who teaches JavaScript. No one can teach better than Code with Harry, and it's absolutely free. He teaches JavaScript, every video is there, and you will find it so comfortable and so easy, and it is so easy to understand, and it's absolutely free. There are so many resources available online, and particularly on YouTube, which are absolutely free and can be utilized. To me, learning coding is not expensive. It is absolutely free, just because there are not enough people trained and skilled who can teach coding, and there is an advantage. There's a market gap. There is the gap of supply and demand. That's why it's considered to be expensive. Otherwise, if you have will to learn, there are absolutely a huge number of resources free of course available online.
And in certain institutions, they give ad that, okay, this 10-year-old child created an app and she earned millions, and all these parents are behind it.
This is again a myth. I have seen ads that 3-year-old developed an app, 5-year-old developed, and I'm absolutely against it. I myself encourage students who are at least in class 6th or 7th, at least 6th or 7th. And you don't, that's one of the biggest problem that I have even faced myself, that you have a parent who has seen a video on TV or somewhere else where he had learned that his kid अपना 3 साल का चिंटू ऐप बनाया वो ये सब, and then his kid was able to develop an app in 1 month, and he got discouraged. His excitement was gone. So this is again a very wrong marketing, I would say. You don't develop apps like this. You have to learn logic, you have to understand logic, and then you have to start from scratch. Things doesn't work like that. So I am here to bust the myth. This is not absolutely correct. We should encourage, if you encourage students that you can develop a career in computer science or coding, and you can create a skill that will help you to earn money and earn good amount of money. This is a good way to go. And if you go like that, you tell your kid that you are going to enhance your mental ability, creativity, and logic, and at the same time you are going to learn a skill that will make you stand out, and at the same time it can fetch you money. So this is the way I think young kids and their parents are to be motivated, not by saying that आपका चिंटू 3 साल के बाद 3 साल का है तो ऐप बनाएगा.
Okay.
So, sir, then according... Yes, Rashida ma'am, you can go ahead.
So at what age should we start
Yeah.
for our kids?
Exactly, my question is.
There are various opinions about it, and if you ask me personally, I encourage students who are at least in class 7th. So I think that is 11, 12 years, right?
Yes.
Or maybe that's around 14 years.
13 to 14 years.
13
yes.
to 14.
Now kids are starting in 6 or 7. We are seeing an advertisement. That's why I ask.
I am not comfortable with it. Maybe they are right, but I don't agree with it.
Actually, sir, in White Hat Junior, now once I attended the interview and in White Hat Junior, and I passed.
Nina ma'am, please avoid brand names.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there
Also
now the
freelance.
students are giving classes till now from class 5 onwards actually. So, and also the teachers, it seems that teachers shouldn't have deeper knowledge. Actually, the teachers are also given these ready-made, script how to teach children. So that's what I found. So how effective is that when we are being taught, when the resource person is, that means, when the resource person is not having the deeper knowledge about the subject, how it would affect our students,
Obviously it is going to affect if your guide or mentor is not properly guided himself or herself. I don't think he can guide you better, your kid better. So clarity of mind and clarity of vision is absolutely fundamental and clear. You should absolutely be clear what I am teaching my kid, then only he'll get the direction. So it's very important and it's very imperative, I guess. It's paramount. And again, I would say that there's an age when we should start coding, or we should teach young students code. And I'll take your attention to code.org, and they have a concept called Scratch. That's a programming language. If they get a young students, say 7 years, 8 years old, they teach them in a way they can learn. They teach them drag and drop, and they develop logic. They don't develop apps on the onset of everything. They learn logic, how things work, how things move. But again, I have seen students around me who have learned coding and who are into the coding. 13 and 14 years should be the age. And also, once you teach a class 7th coding, he learns up to 10th or say up to 9th coding. He gets an idea what I am supposed to do after 10th. Since we are we always make decisions in after 10th, whether if you have how to become a doctor, you go for medical in 11th, 12th, and engineering, and likewise commerce and other fields. So once you teach your kid coding in 7th, 8th, or 9th, or even 10th, he gets an idea what I am supposed to do. Is my career, or should I give more attention to this part of the world, coding, computer science, or should I go to the traditional, like I should go for doctor or engineering, etc., or maybe some other fields. Next question, please.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any question? Shamna ma'am.
The question answer session has been very exciting. I think we should have done it the other way around. First question answer session and then the presentation. I like the way I told you earlier that I like to interact with the audience. That's how I speak better and more confidently. So I am against the one-way interaction.
And sir, is that okay if I say something? Okay. When I was studying in +1 and +2, I took biology as my main subject. And after the +2, I choose this engineering field, and it is electronics and communication. And in the first year of our, I think in the first year itself, we are introduced to C++. So we have, I think, after 10th standard, I don't have any I didn't learn computer science in my +1 and +2, but immediately in my colleges, during the first years of my college, I was introduced to C++. So initially, it was really difficult time for me. Even in S3, I think in semester 3, I was introduced to C++. So I found it really difficult, and I tried hard to learn about the subject. So let me ask you something, sir, because I was really confused then. Let me ask you something. Is it possible for a person to learn something, like C++ immediately after these 4 years of gap? Is that possible for an average person to learn a computer language?
Everything is possible. If you want to learn coding at 60, you can learn. There is, if you are dedicated and motivated, you can learn. Second thing is, you have connected to my point. I told you that any degree that teaches computer science, they teach either C or C++, right? This is considered to be the fundamental language. And you have been a programmer by accident and not by choice, right? And if you have some concepts, let us say you don't know anything about C++ now, but if you start afresh, you can learn. You need to be a little more dedicated and you should have some motivation behind it. You can easily learn coding. There are people who have switched careers like anything. So I think if you wish to learn computer science and coding, you can. I'll help you in that. I can share resources with you. Suppose if you want to learn JavaScript, I can tell you which are the resources, how you should start. And if you want to learn some other language, I'll try to guide you appropriately.
Actually, after my S3, I developed, because I tried hard to pass the subject. So after that, no, I developed a liking towards the subject.
So it's a very exciting subject and very it is absolutely fun. I think there's a quote by Steve Jobs. He says everybody should learn how to code. Everybody should learn how to code because it teaches you how things work, right? You understand how things exactly work. You have used this fee management software for 10 years. Now, tomorrow, once you'll go to school, you'll think about it, how it's adding the things, how it works at the back, how it is giving me exactly what I am asking, how it is showing the results of previous year, how exactly it is showing the balance of a particular student. You'll think about it. So once you then do that, you get the purpose of life. You understand how, you try to understand how things work. You appreciate nature and you ultimately appreciate the creator of this world.
And also, sir, like, can I ask you something?
Yes,
Because-
please.
Sir, see here. So, for example, if I want to learn maths, I need a particular amount of intelligence within me. Okay, just like that for learning computer language, also, don't we need some kind of intelligence? Maybe all of them can't get the language in this programming language at the same level, right? Some people may find it difficult to learn this language. So, just like that mathematical intelligence, don't we need this programming intelligence too?
Yeah, we need, and we cannot quantify it, how much we need. So if we have two people, one is very sharp. I will give you an example, clear example. You can compare computer science and coding to mathematics. There are students in our class who can solve a mathematical question very quickly, and there are students who take time. But both of them are good at solving the problem, right? Same applies to computer science and coding. If you are good at mathematics, you will be good at computer science. And once you try, you'll develop logic. You'll gradually develop it. So even if you have problems on the onset or we can say at the earlier stage, but once you spend time with it, you will definitely get things done more quickly, and ultimately you will fall in love with the coding. That's for sure.
And sir, what are the career opportunities?
I again said that here, can you highlight a single field where computer science and coding is not required? A single field. You want to work in medicines or health sector, doctors require it. You see they use different IT driven machines which are based on computer science and they are programmed. Again, you want to work in aeronautics, you need things there. You want to work in finance, everywhere. Whether you want to work in agriculture or in any other field, computer science is required. So I don't think there are better opportunities in any field than computer science. Computer science is the most advantageous career, but you will still see people with degrees in computer science, but they don't have jobs. I'll repeat my words that in computer science, jobs are given to skills and not to degrees. So you don't need degrees, you need skills more in computer science.
So if somebody is not interested in computer science, for example, if somebody wants to become a doctor, so how much coding he should know? Is there
No, he doesn't need, the doctor doesn't need a coding, does not need coding to cure his patients, but he has to use the devices that require coding. He has to use the devices that require computer science. So it's always good. It's always good and smart, and you'll be considered smart and knowledgeable and educated if you know the thing about the things you are using.
Okay, so such people only need to know the basics.
No, at least the basic. And I have seen some doctors who love programming. This is a skill that everybody loves if he gets into it, he or she gets into it. It's an absolutely lovable career skill. It is not necessary that a doctor should speak good English, is it?
No.
It is not necessary. A doctor should be a good doctor. He doesn't need to be a good speaker or good. But if a doctor is a good speaker and he speaks English or some other, particularly some foreign language very well, he'll be considered very smart and very educated. Likewise, similarly, there is no harm in learning computer science and programming. You can spend your leisure time, free time in programming. It can be a good hobby, if not a career. Good hobby.
Hobby.
Yes.
So there is nothing separate called coding. It comes along with computer science. That is graduation is computer science, right?
Computer science, coding is part of computer science, but it's a major part. And it comes in computer science degrees. But if you have electronics and communication, we teach coding to that batch as well. And similarly, we have now new courses like data scientist, right? You may have heard about it. And there are like things like artificial intelligence, machine learning. These things, they require basic coding. And I was checking today one of the school's curriculum, that was class 9th, right? I saw they had some computer science subject titled it, and their first chapter was ICT, Information and Communication Technology, basic things about computer science. And their second chapter was Introduction to Artificial Intelligence. And their third chapter for that curriculum was Introduction to Python. That's again a programming language. So if you want to go into data scientist, computer science engineering, like PNC, or even economics, in economics, there's a language, very famous language, R, which is used there. Python is also used by economists. So there are fields which are getting developed, and where computer science and coding is required.
Okay.
What is medical coding? Is that similar?
Sorry?
Medical coding. Something like
Can
that.
you please repeat medical coding?
That is, I think she's talking about transcripts, right?
No, I saw some advertisement, that is why I asked.
I don't know about it. Maybe I need to learn about it. I'll go and check what's medical coding. I'll definitely revert them back. I don't think I know about much. I have much information about it.
Yes, maybe related to medical field, I think.
Maybe.
So as teachers, we parents may ask us a lot of doubts regarding coding and all. I think we got some idea.
Yes.
Can you please repeat the question, ma'am?
No, as teachers, parents may ask us questions when to start coding. Is it good or bad? Yes.
If
so
you ask my personal opinion, I will again say that class 7th, at least. Class 7th, they have that understanding, they have that space for creativity, and they can develop the logic, and it will help them in long way in their lives. Even if somebody, there was a point I mentioned earlier that it helps you to develop and appreciate how things work. So if you teach your kid coding in class 7th or 8th, he will develop logic about it, and he will understand what creativity is, how things work around the world. And even if he doesn't go in computer science field after 10th, it will still help him in a long way. The way mathematics help us students long way, even if they don't choose it after 10th.
Okay.
I think if there are no more questions, we can combine them.
So thank you, sir. That was an informative session on coding. So let me invite Ms. Chini to deliver the vote of thanks.
Yes, thank you, Rashida ma'am. And good evening to our most valued and worthy guest, our evaluator, our faculty, and my beloved friends. It is a matter of pride for me. I am proposing a vote of thanks for this meeting. Our day became more special by the presence of our chief guest, Mr. Adil Bhatt. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation in spite of your busy schedule. We are indeed very grateful. I would like to thank our evaluator, Mrs. Sudha Menon. My wholehearted gratitude to our faculty and also the co-coordinator of this webinar, Mrs. Smita Krishnakumar, and also the co-coordinator, Mrs. Raji, for her efforts. Last but not the least, a big thanks to all the fellow students for their presence and the participation. Thank you for one and all to make this evening so good. Thank you.
So I would like to add few more words before we close this session. It has been honor to spend a good quality hour with all of you. It's now 8:45. I think we have spent almost now 85 minutes. It has been absolutely amazing. I should thank Smita ma'am for inviting me to this session, and I think the Rashida ma'am was the host for the session.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks to Rashida ma'am as well for hosting the wonderful session, and more importantly, thanks to all the participants who listened to me very patiently. I had to thank National Child Development Council. I'd say that I'll be available for more sessions if and when asked. I'll be happy to interact with students again, and if there are teachers, I'll be more than happy. And there are things which there may be still questions, and I may not be very clear to everyone because of the technology. I will be available on my social media handles and WhatsApp, etc. Please, whenever if there is a question or query regarding coding and computer science, I'll be more than happy to answer that if I can, if I am able to. So I'll be happy. I'm considering, though I am not, I am considering myself the part of National Child Development Council. I'm considering it as my family. So any questions, any queries, I will be available. If you want me to share this presentation, I can forward it to Smita ma'am, and she can forward it to everyone. And if you have any questions, I will be always available on social media or even on phone. Please feel free to ask any question. Thank you again. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, one question. Will you be able to give us a demo class on coding?
On coding? Surely, why not? When and how? Online?
Online, yes.
Yes, I can give. I don't know if I will be able to explain everything in one lecture.
Just a demo. What it is like, how it is.
Okay, I can give you a demo. Surely, yes, I'll be happy to do that. Please fix any day, maybe in next week or a week left after the next week. I'll be more than happy to share that. Surely. That's a promise.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your valuable time.
I hope this was, I have taken your 1 hour. I hope it would help you.
It was worth it, sir.
Yes, in a short time you have explained very well.
Everything, yes, sir.
Thank you so much. I look forward to interacting with you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.